Om Shri Sai Ram. Good evening. Welcome to this special edition, which we are calling it as the Atma Chalisa Revisited. So today, 1st of November 2023, we've completed exactly 1 year from the day when we started it last year, and we realized that 1 year has gone by, and it seems many hundreds have gone through the Atma Chalisa Parayanam, and we thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to meet once again and do a quick recap of what Atma Chalisa is essentially about. When we started it a year back, we didn't know how this Chalisa, how this 40 days Parayanam is actually going to turn out, other than that there was the voice of consciousness which was guiding us and telling us that something very profound, which is going to be of great use to the people on the path of experiencing the self, is going to take place. Many have done it ever since and have gained from it. We've got some amazing testimonials of how it has shifted their lives, and the Atma Chalisa has now been written into a book called The Pathless Path, The Path of Love, and it's a great blessing that we all can once again celebrate these moments together. So I'm trying to cover this in 1 week. So we'll meet every day at the same time and take this to its conclusion. As usual, it's the consciousness which conducts these sessions, and the flow totally depends upon how each moment unfolds for us. So, and I want to also say that Atma Chalisa started with the request from one of our participants wanting to do daily sessions, and it started as a very impromptu need being experienced by one seeker whose seeking was so intense that he felt that something is about to happen in his life, and he wanted to experience an effortless entry into the golden gates of consciousness. And we were happy that at the end of 40 days, that particular person's wish got fulfilled. And I think his testimonial is also there on the website. So thank you, Paliwalakil. It was because of you that something as beautiful as Atma Chalisa happened. As they say that it required a Arjuna for a Bhagavad Gita to happen, and it required our uncle here to inspire us to do this. So let's get into the Atma Chalisa. And Parayanam means that it is a sustained devotion. It is getting into the spirit of seeking 24/7. That's a Parayanam. Parayanam means it requires dedication. It requires devotion. it requires a constant immersion. That's what a Parayanam is. Parayanam is it's a continuous chain. Atma, we all understand, is the consciousness within. It is the consciousness that resides inside each one of us, which is essentially the same as it resides in the environment around us and in every being. It's only that the vehicle or the container or the bottle or the body is different, but essentially it's the same one consciousness, and they call it by the name of Atma. Chalisa means 40 days. Chalisa is 40, and in all traditions, whether it's Hinduism, Christianity, Jainism, Sikhism, Judaism, 40 days has, even in Islam, 40 days has a very, strong significance, because they say anything done over a period of 40 days helps to establish something, cement something, make something permanent. And so there are, in all the religions, there are festivals and there is intense sadhana that happens over 40 days. So therefore, that's how the name came about. It is the celebration of the experience of the consciousness within, or the Atma. It was carried out for 40 days, and it was done, dedicatedly, devotedly, over a period of 40 days as a Parayanam. So that's how the name came about. So when we entered into day 1 or chapter 1, we talk about that there is a path which has been given to us of how to experience this Atma, how to experience this joy that is there in our heart. And we refer to a small booklet that was done by me in 2019. It's called the 9 Steps to Divinity, or Satchit Anand. So we talked about these 9 steps to divinity, and they are essentially, these 9 steps take out for us the path of how do we reach that point of experiencing that state of Ananda or bliss. And that Ananda is experienced only when we are in touch with our Atma, we are in touch with that consciousness that flows within us. So that 9 steps we discussed, and the step number 1 is the step where a soul or a seeker on the path gets into the stage of lamenting. Now, lamenting essentially means that there is something that is missing in our life. There is something that we don't realize, that there is something that there is a gap in our life, or there is an emptiness or hollowness, and you don't know where that hollowness or where that melancholy, where that sorrow, where that restlessness, where is it coming from? While everything around us is going well, all our circumstances seem to be okay, but however, there is still seems to be something missing, some emptiness, some hollowness. And that is our quandary. That's, it's like you have a question without being clear what the question is. So that lamenting is the first stage. You're trying to know that there is something that is missing, but you don't know what it is. And that takes you to the step number 2, which is called yearning. Yearning is a stage where we realize that yes, there is a calling, and that calling becomes stronger over a period of time. So at the first stage, we say there is something missing, but we don't know what it is. But in the second stage, we say we start to intensely seek it. We start to look for it. We start to look for it everywhere, even at work, even at home, even outside. We start feeling that we need to overcome this feeling. So, this strong yearning is what the law of attraction is about. Because when we start seeking something very strongly, there is a automatic pull that starts to get created between the person who is seeking or the person who is yearning and that what is being sought. So the yearning, the yearner, and what is yearned, the seeker, the sought, and the object of seeking, they start to come together. So, and the pull or the magnet is in seeking or in yearning. So, yearning is a little more intensified, a more stronger feeling of seeking. Okay, and as the seeker gets into the stage of yearning, in the universe, in the consciousness, that message is actually broadcasted that there is this Atma, this soul, which is seeking. And the consciousness then arranges a master for us or a guru for us. The guru is always waiting for the seeker. And when the seeker is ready, the guru arrives in the life. And this is a signal being sent to the guru through the yearning, and that's a vibrational signal that reaches the master, and the consciousness allots to every seeker the relevant master who can provide assistance to that particular seeker. In consciousness, all roles and responsibilities have been very beautifully allocated and earmarked. So there is a one-to-one relationship between the seeker and the guru. And it's like a vibrational chemistry. It's like, a unknown connection threads that tie us to our guru. And the minute the seeker's seeking intensifies, the guru arrives and appears on the scene, ready to help and guide the seeker to that ultimate experience of realizing that source of joy within. Right? And when the guru arrives in our life, there is a message. The message is brought by the guru to the seeker, and the message of the guru is that what you are seeking is not external to you. What you are seeking is inside of you. It is who you are, and that message of the guru creates a path for the seeker to follow. And the guru becomes like a lighthouse to guide the seeker on the path of the journey within. That's the role that the guru performs for the seeker, and he brings in that message, that clarity, that understanding of what is it actually the seeker is seeking, and the message is the beacon of hope, is the beacon of light for the seeker of what is the path that he or she needs to travel. And then when that message comes to the seeker starts to contemplate on this message, goes into a process which is called as self-inquiry. The self-inquiry is that part when the seeker starts to deeply examine the message of the master, and starts to contemplate upon the teachings of the guru, and starts to reflect upon it and inquire deeply into what these teachings are about, right? And that self inquiry is a very important part, because uh, these teachings are new to the seeker, and the seeker is not very clear about it, but the seeker requires some assistance, some help. And while the help is coming from the guru, but these teachings, these learnings, these have to become the understanding of the seeker. And that understanding will come when you deeply inquire about it, and you start to go into every aspect of it, and the process of manana, which is given in Vedanta, begins. So this period of, or the phase of self inquiry, then leads to experience. So what happens is that the seeker starts to practice some of the teachings, some of the guidelines that the guru is providing. And while following those, or while practicing them in his or her own life, the seeker starts getting direct experience. It is called prataksha praman, or it's like an experiment, in a laboratory. When we go into a laboratory and we conduct an experiment, then we record the findings, and we realize that there is, by doing a set of things, there is a result. So there is an input, there is a process, and then there is a result. So similarly, when we practice the teachings of the guru, then we experience something in return, and that experience is internal to us. And only through direct experience can we realize the effectiveness and the impact of the teachings. Because uh, when the teachings first come to us, they are theoretical, and we try to examine these teachings from our intellectual mind, and through the intellectual mind we try to uh, you know try to process it. Now the mind has a problem. The mind has a limited intelligence, limited because of our beliefs, of our conditioning. So therefore, what the mind knows, it knows, and it is an expert at it. But what the mind does not know, it's absolutely ignorant about it. So how do you find out something which a guru is now telling you about yourself, which was hitherto unknown to you? The only way to figure out whether this is true or not is to practice what the master is telling us. Because if we just keep knowing it, we will never be able to understand it, and we will never be able to understand its effectiveness, and we will not know it for ourselves that it really works or not. Okay? So therefore, it is the imperative that we get into the stage of direct experience, and for that we have to keep practicing, because as we say, practice makes us perfect, and the only way to do something is by doing it, right? So this experience then gives us takes us to the next stage, or the seventh stage, which is called realization. Because when you experience something, you realize the words of your master, right? You realize why the master stresses on certain things, and why the master, insists on certain things, right? And those things that you thought were trivial, which sounded sometimes childish, suddenly start making sense to you when you experience it firsthand. Because remember, as I said, the mind has a limited experience, and mind actually has not been given the capability of experiencing it. Actually, it is our heart that knows how to experience things. Mind can only logicalize and rationalize. And from the experiences of the heart, the mind then stores memories and makes its own inferences, and creates its own sets of judgments, and creates conditionalities based on those experiences. And those experiences that it has now never been exposed to, it just does not know what to do with it, right? So therefore, a master is important, and therefore having faith in the master is important, that the master knows what the master is doing, and therefore we allow the master to guide us, and we know whether the master's teaching is effective or not is when we start to practice them or implement them in our life. So it's only through the direct experience can we gain that, and then the realization comes that, oh boy, it works. Okay? And then the truth of the self slowly starts to become our experience. We start experiencing that there is something inside of us, and there is that something uh, which is always present, which is other than our body, and that realization comes to us momentarily, but it does not stay with us. And so, therefore, as we intensely seek that, now we've got a glimpse of it, we need to move further, and we need to hold on to this awareness. And this awareness needs to expand, because when we look at things, we look at it at a very limited way. But when we look at things with complete awareness, then our vision expands. And the same thing is as if it has come under a microscope, and it starts to magnify. And in our awareness expands so much that all that was invisible to us earlier now starts becoming visible. And we start to realize that there is something in us which is always present, which is always witnessing, which is there when we are awake, which is there when we are asleep, which is there which as an observer when we are dreaming. It is that seer, and that awareness starts to shift, and from a on and off stage of experiencing and getting some realizations, we start moving into an expanded state of awareness where we are constantly in touch with that energy, that vibration, that experience which is inside of us. And as we start getting connected to that consciousness, and as instead of the mind, we start listening to this consciousness, as we start surrendering to this consciousness, and as we start becoming one with it, we start experiencing a state of flow. A flow where everything starts to come together. It's as if something magical takes over, and we start to experience manifestations in our life. We start to experience that there is a power within us which brings so much of effortless living. Life becomes a flow which is natural, which is spontaneous, which is effortless, and there is a sweetness that comes in us. We start experiencing this sweetness about life. The struggle ends, and then we experience that sweetness starts to spread to all others who come in contact with us. And that sweetness, that fragrance, that not only we experience in life when we come in this absolutely expanded state of awareness, which others experience in our presence, which others experience when they are connected to us, that is called love. And this is love is the other name for the Atma. Love is the other name of this individual consciousness. Love is that all pervasive energy which brings that joy or ananda that we are all seeking. It is so, whether you want to call it energy, whether you want to call it consciousness, whether you want to call it love, whether you want to call it God, it's all one and the same. All poets, all masters have experienced it in different ways. They have given it different names, but essentially everybody in their own experience is talking about the same thing. It is one and the same thing. There is no duality, there is just another way of saying the same thing again. So this first day for us, or this first chapter, is about laying the path. That what is the path of experiencing the consciousness within, or the Atma within. Then we move into day 2, where we talk about that to reach anywhere, we must have a goal. So we set about by putting a goal for the Atma Chalisa Parayanam, for this 40-day Parayanam. And this goal that we put for us is actually the goal of life also. So the goal of Atma Chalisa and the goal of life is one and the same. And that goal of life is to experience the divine consciousness within, to experience the truth of the self, to experience that Satchitananda, to experience that God is within and without, and that there is only one consciousness, and that is present everywhere. So that is what is the goal of life, and that is what we set out to be as the goal of Atma Chalisa Parayanam. And without having a goal, without having a clear stated goal, we cannot ever reach where we need to reach. So therefore, we need to have this goal very clear and stated upfront. So therefore, on day 2, we clarified this goal very clearly. And we said that if we are ready to experience this truth for which we have taken this birth, not only this birth, we come again and again, and every lifetime of ours, we are actually seeking that same goal, right? It may not be so clear, it may not be stated, it may not be so apparent to us, but actually the reason of endless birth and deaths, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, is only because we are seeking this and this alone. And in this lifetime, we are very happy that we have come to know that this is the goal of life. And we are very happy that in an Atma Chalisa Parayanam, in 40 days, if we celebrate it as a Parayanam, we have the ability and we have the possibility to experience this truth within 40 days, right? So we clarified on day 2 the goal upfront. Okay, and we said that on day 3, we said that it is important that we need to be not only clear about our goal, we need to be yearning for this goal. Like we said, yearning is important to attract the guru, but yearning is actually the point from where attraction starts, where we start to attract things in our life. Intense the desire, intense the yearning, intense the seeking, we will be able to do it. Our life is testimony to that, that whatever we have intensely sought and we have run after, we have ended up achieving it. Because it's a universal law, the law of attraction. So, this intense, when I use the word intense, what I mean is it has to be the kind of seeking that would relate to a person who is so thirsty that he's been or she has been in a desert for 3 days without water. Or as Swami used to say, when you push somebody under the water and the person is gasping for breath, and when the importance of breath becomes important to us, if our seeking is that intense, then we definitely get what we are seeking. Our problem, our challenge in our life is that we want something, but our seeking is not intense. Our yearning is not intense. We get comfortable with life. You know, the modern day living has brought us all the comforts. So we have comfortable homes, we've got heating, we've got chocolates, we've got flowers, we've got all the good food, and we've got friends, and we've got entertainment, and we've got so many diversions that while we want it, but actually there is no time for it because our schedule is so busy. We're all so busy doing so many things during the day that this becomes something to do when we have that, half an hour or 1 hour a day, right? And in the past and in all times before us, all those who have sought have experienced this goal of life, and that's what the whole cycle is about. You get into this endless loop, and you ultimately clear out this game. You clear out this cycle by experiencing that truth. So this yearning is so essential. The yearning that yes, I have made a goal, but how badly am I seeking this goal? It is essential. So this yearning, if it comes, then definitely I have seen that in this 40-day program that we did, there were a few who were able to cross over. And subsequently, many have been able to experience that, but it took a longer time. So, the grace of the Guru, the grace of consciousness, the grace of God is always available to us. The only limitation is our capacity to receive that grace, and that capacity comes from our yearning. So, yearning is a very essential thing. How badly do you want it? If that is the only thing, and if you're obsessed by it, then definitely it is like Ramakrishna Paramahansa was obsessed and he yearned for seeing the Devi, experiencing the Devi, that he became mad in that delusion for getting that experience. And the Devi had to relent. Consciousness or the master is just waiting for us to reach that point And everything that happens in between, all the situations and events are getting us ready to that point where, when we are ready, it will happen for us. So this was, what we discussed on day 3. And now, once the goal is clear, the path has been shown, the goal is clear, the seeking is there, intensity is there. The fourth important thing that we spoke about was belief. Or, as Vedanta says, yad bhavam tad bhavati. Now, what is it that I am referring to here? That I must believe that this is the goal of life, to experience ananda, or experience that joy, that fountain of joy within, to experience that divine love is the goal of life. Yeah, because if you don't believe that that is true, then of course it will just be another academic exercise. It will just be another intellectual, see, okay, let me go and try this out. I have tried many things. It's like a supermarket. We've followed too many gurus, we have their teaching. Okay, one more fellow, talking about one more session, right? It's like that. We first must believe that this is the goal of life, and then we must believe that it is possible to achieve this goal of life. And then we must believe that it is possible to do it in 40 days. Yeah, because if you think, oh, how is it possible? If I have taken 400 or 4,000 lives, how can I do it in 40 days? Right? So we don't realize we are full of negative beliefs. I see people, I interact with people on a daily basis. There are some who stay with me, there are some, with whom I am in contact every day. I just see how badly we have been conditioned by life, and we have so many negative beliefs. And we keep creating roadblocks after roadblocks after roadblocks. And we don't even know that actually we are caught in this web of our own negative beliefs. There is, I can't do this. Oh, I'm not good at this. Oh, this is not my cup of tea. Oh, this is, not possible. We're just full. And every time we create a negative belief, every time we utter these words, I cannot, we put a roadblock. We just stop everything. Consciousness is an energy, it's a flow, it's flowing all the time. What are we doing? We're stopping it. We are, with these utterances of ours, with these thoughts of ours, with these words of ours, with these actions of ours, I don't like this, I cannot do this, that is part of our belief system. And then, so we said that it is important to believe that this is the goal of life. It is important to believe that it can be experienced. It is important to believe that it can be done in 40 days. And it is also important to believe that the person who has taken upon himself to take you to that experience, you need to, for those 40 days, have a belief in that person. That yes, at least for these 40 days, I will fully believe that the person I am listening to right now has the power and the ability to take you to that experience. And if any of these 4 beliefs are missing, it is not going to happen. The mission has got aborted before it started, and we will not reach there. And these are so essential that this is part of our internal preparedness or our internal readiness. Because we, any journey that we have to do, any journey, you want to go to US, you want to go to England, you want to travel to India, you want to travel to Africa, you want to travel to Antarctica, Himalayas, wherever you go, you make preparations. Without preparation, you cannot reach anywhere. And so these steps are part of the preparation, the preparatory steps to reach our goal of self-realization, of not only self-realization, but experiencing that. So this whole journey of Atma Chalisa is an experiential learning process, because all of us on the path of spirituality, all of us on the path of seeking this truth, have read many books, have heard many masters, have gone to many pilgrimages, have followed many rituals, and so on. But each one of us are seeking, where is the experience? Can I get a direct evidence? Can I go through something which is tangible? And can I really experience firsthand what has been very beautifully elucidated in Vedanta? That experience of ecstasy, that bliss, which is what even gods and goddesses have to come on this planet to experience. This is how beautiful the experience is. So therefore, in the Atma Chalisa Parayanam, we created an experiential journey. And I think that's where the power of Atma Chalisa is, that it takes you step by step, day by day. When you keep covering every base and you keep making strong foundations for yourself. So these are all foundational steps. They are essential. If you just go through it, just like that as a good reading, yeah, I understand, I need to have yearning. Yes, I have enough yearning. I am seeking. Yeah, okay, I believe this is possible. Then it doesn't happen. But if you let each one of them, and that's why we did it over 40 days, because day by day we were working on creating a rock solid foundation, because we can really create a beautiful palace where the self, resides when the foundation is strong. Okay, and in this experiential journey, we talked about the three steps that of the Vedantic methodology is so simple. It falls in three steps. Step number one is called Shravana, which is listening. Step number two is called Manana, or self-inquiry or contemplation. And step number three is called Nididhyasana, or practicing the teachings, or practicing our learnings. So therefore, these three steps. Listening means not just hearing, but listening. Listening is understanding. We hear plus understand is called listening. And if we listen properly, attentively, then it takes us to the second step, where we start to contemplate upon it. And when we contemplate upon it, we look at, there are questions that come to us. We study various books. The studying of the books is called Swadhyaya. We go to study circles. We go and ask the questions to our masters. So that is the stage of refining that knowledge, clarifying that knowledge, so that it can become usable for us. Because one is just knowledge. That knowledge has to become useful for us. And it is something that we can adopt and practice. To reach that stage from listening to adopting, this the intervening stage and the most important stage is called manana, the contemplation. And once that contemplation is complete, then that means the understanding of all the facets are complete. And that is when we can start practicing, because now we are ready. We have also got the internal buy-in. A lot of times we know things, we don't practice them in our life because we are not convinced about it. And that inner conviction to practice these teachings comes with manana, or the self inquiry stage. And that leads us to the third step of nididhyasana. And nididhyasana is when you practice it, when it becomes so refined that it becomes a part of your being. It becomes a part of who you are. It 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 just reflects in your every thought, your every action, your just way of being. So unless there is a shift, unless there is a perceptible shift in you, in your way of being, and it is not just a shift that you're experiencing, it's a shift that is acknowledged by everybody around you. I shared this story, in Atma Chalisa. I'm going to share with you again. This is I had a great partner in my wife. She was a fellow traveler on this journey of mine, on this pursuit of mine, in this relentless pursuit of mine of experiencing this truth. And I had a greatest of all the masters in Satya Sai Baba. And I was so in love with him and what he had to say, that I would do deep contemplation upon the teachings of his, which were actually very simple. Actually, the beauty of Satya Sai Baba, I've said, uh, has been is the simplicity with which he gave the greatest of the truths. And you didn't have to read the complex Vedas and go through books upon books and recite mantras upon mantras. He gave things so effectively and beautifully. That's the beauty of my master. And that beauty, I just wanted to imbibe. I wanted to become one with what he was saying. And in that, I found that when I would do my contemplation, I would realize that the only way to figure it out is to practice it. Yeah. And it's like, how do you know how sweet a particular chocolate is? The only way to find out is when you eat it, right? Melody khao, khud jaan jao. That's the only way, right? Otherwise, we'll keep debating. So I used to every night, me and my wife had this habit of having a cup of tea in the night and discuss our experiences of the day. Uh, and then I would share with her my understanding and what my contemplations were telling me. And next day, I would start practicing it. And my wife would look at me, and at one day, she said, it's so difficult to now be with you, because it almost seems that I sleep with my husband every night and I wake up in the morning with a stranger, because you are adapting so fast, you are changing so rapidly. I really don't know who's the real you, right? So, and for me, it was this hurry, it was this yearning, it was this need to figure it out for myself, what my master was telling me. And I figured out that the only way to do it was to have a direct experience. Because if I keep thinking about it, and if I keep talking about it, and if I keep eulogizing also my guru, it's of no use to have all this knowledge and not being able to put it into practice. So this became an obsession of of getting this experience. So I would really urge all of you that this is such a important stage, and this is such an important thing that we must get across. So on day 6, then we talked about the power of satsanga, which is exactly what we are doing. We met every day for 40 days in satsanga. Sat Sangha is 2 words, Sat and Sangha. Sat means truth and Sangha means company. The company of truth or the company of seekers of truth is Satsanga. And what is this truth we are talking about? That truth which is the truth for everybody. The definition of truth is that which does not change, that does not decay, that which does not get destroyed, that, as Swami Rama said, that is not subject to death, decay, and destruction. I call it that which is permanent. I actually found a very beautiful definition that I worked through as an intermediate step to reach the final truth. What is that truth that we are talking about? The truth is that I am that Atman, that I am that divine consciousness, that I am that God that I am seeking. That is the truth. But what's the way to break this down into a definition that we can use and that I have used effectively all through my this spiritual unfoldment process, and that is called Trikaran Shuddhi. What is Trikaran Shuddhi? Tri means 3, Karan means what you do, Shuddhi means alignment. So there are 3 basic processes that we do. We think, we speak, and we act. So thoughts, words, and actions. So these are the three currents. Shuddhi means their purity and alignment. Once your thoughts, words, and actions become pure and they become aligned, that what you think is what you say is what you do, then you are living in truth. And I very effectively used throughout this definition for whatever I was trying to implement, whatever I was trying to practice. I would try to align the 3 aspects of it. That in my thoughts, I was convinced about it. I was so convinced that I would talk about that only, and I would practice it through my actions. This is the way to break that down into all the teachings, all the pointers that you receive from your guru or from your master. You make them as a part of your life, your beingness, by Trikaran Shuddhi, by unity and purity of thoughts, words, and action. And that creates a shift. That takes you and propels you into your inner journey, right? A lot of people tell me that, you've been very courageous in life. I do not feel that there is actually any courage in this path. Courage is required for something that is you're doing foolish, for something that you do not know. You are just blindly doing it because you are believing in some ideology or understanding. Then you require courage. If you were to understand something, if you know that it is a truth, then, and you want to experience it, then the only way to experience something is by doing it. Okay? And how do you convince yourself? You convince yourself by validating that this truth is being spoken about by every every religion, that there is one God, there is one consciousness. Everybody talks about it differently, right? And that we have come here to experience this higher truth. And if there are masters, that's why a master is important, because we this connection that we have between us and our master is so intense, so intimate. We are very careful when we choose our master. We don't choose anybody as our master. We try and test our master. We make sure that the master is trustworthy. Yeah, it's like wanting to go on a journey to Mount Everest. The success of a journey is not just important on how good my training is, my physical fitness is, how good my equipment is. It is also important how good is the Sherpa, how good is the guide who's going to take me there, right? Without a good guide, say goodbye, it's not going to happen. So, on this path of life, on this path of Atma Chalisa, it's important to have this faith and trust on the Guru, that he or she knows the path and can take me safely over there. So, this power of satsanga has been praised in almost every religion. That's why the congregations meet regularly. That's why we have these majlis, these satsangs, these celebrations when we all come together and the wise exchange their ideas, they exchange their experiences with others. And in these sessions, in this satsanga, our doubts get cleared. And that's why in the whole Atma Chalisa process, we encouraged the participants to start sharing their experiences, their doubts, their questions, and the challenges that they were having in life. And over the 40 days, the journey became so intense and beautiful that everybody started to share openly. Even the most intimate things were shared in the groups, and everybody realized that they were not the only one on this journey. And the questions that came out actually were answers to a lot of people who were experiencing that. And we all started to travel together. The power of satsanga is in collective learning from each other, learning from the master, and our belief in our own self, it starts to increase. We start to believe in our experiences. Because a lot of times we are experiencing things, but because we are not able to interpret them, because we are not able to relate it to the inner consciousness, we some ignore it. We overlook them. We take them as chance occurrences. But when we come together and we know that I'm not the only one, what's happening to me is happening to others as well. And then when the master weaves the message through and expresses clearly what is given in Vedanta, what is given in the book, that is actually inscribed inside each one of us. Our soul carries these inscriptions. We all actually have this entire understanding because we are all mini universes. We are whole and complete. It's just that we have lost this understanding. And during these 40 days, through this power of satsanga, we came together to celebrate this journey of life and to experience what we have been yearning for. So, this is what I wanted to share with you today on the day one of Atma Chalisa Revisited. We've looked at the first six chapters, and I would urge that if you can spend till tomorrow some time on these, because we will start tomorrow with day seven. So we've looked at the nine steps to divinity, we've looked at the goal of life, we've looked at the importance of yearning, we've looked at our beliefs, we've looked at that this knowledge, this can be achieved if it's an experiential journey. So therefore we focused on this entire experiential journey and the power of satsanga. So with that, I'd like to thank all of you for taking off time and being here today. And I'm so happy uh, that each one has each one is here because each one has been impacted by the Atma Chalisa. And I would now look forward to hearing from you. Please feel free to share your experiences, share your questions, share your journeys. Some of you I'm seeing after quite some time. So lots of love. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sai Shwaraya Arpanam.